Welcome to the Soul Mastery for the soul-led entrepreneur who desires it all, purpose, power, and profits. I am your host, Chaitali Desai, business and success mentor, and today I have a special guest. We all know how much I love to talk about female empowerment and helping women align mind, body, soul, business. And today my guest, Judi Moreo, author, speaker, mentor, she is here. And guys, we're going to be diving deep into this. So Judi, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here and to be with you and to be a part of this movement that we're involved in with the Women Thrive group.
Yes.
It's pretty exciting that you and I are both going to be on the program in March for that big summit that they're having. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. I've had so many of our speakers on just sharing. And really, what has been so beautiful as even though each individual is talking about an aspect of the movement, an aspect of helping women really take their place, everyone brings such a beautiful, they bring their own beautiful story. So before we get into anything else, we'd love to hear a little bit about you. So tell us who you are, what do you do? Fill us in.
Well, I am a serial entrepreneur. I
Love
seem to
it.
go from one thing to another to another. I started my first business in 1970 with only $2,000. And after the first month, I didn't have the money to pay the second month's rent because they had a big strike in Las Vegas where I live. And it was the first time in history they turned out all the lights on the Las Vegas Strip. And so people were out of work and nobody was going to send their kids to finishing school and nobody was going to hire models. And that's what I had, a finishing school and model agency. And so here I was second month and I didn't have any money to pay my rent. I went to my landlord and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't pay my rent. And he said, Judi, the man next door bet me you wouldn't last in business 6 months. And I bet him you would. He said, if you think you can hang in there for 6 months, we'll make enough money to pay your rent.
Oh, wow. Now that is badass. Okay.
So here was this man who believed in me. I was 24 years old at the time, and I really didn't know anything at all about business. And I started it, and ended up that he was a mentor to me, and he was quite a wealthy man, and he owned a lot of properties around town. And he ended up talking me into and buying my own property and moving out of his facility and opening my own school in a much bigger building. And I did. And I had that business for 21 years, sold it for cash.
Wow.
Yep. Sold it for cash and went into speaking full time because during the time I had that business, I was speaking. People were calling me up and saying, could you come and tell us how you got to be successful? Or could you come and talk to us about what women can do to be more powerful? And, this was at a time, this was in the 1970s. This was at a time when women weren't really empowered like we're doing today. And women didn't support other women. Everybody wanted to be the only woman that did this or the only person. And so it was amazing, but I joined an organization at that time called the Seroptimists, and it's actually Seroptimists stands for Sisters in Optimism. And it was powerful women around the city of Las Vegas that worked together, and they only took one woman from each industry, and they all did business with each other. And I was young and I joined this group, and these ladies just took me in and they mentored me and they taught me how to dress and they taught me how to behave and they taught me how to get out there and sell. And what's interesting, I've just been asked to go and teach at a women's prison. I'm going to be starting there in January, working with women in the prison system in 3 different prisons. But one of the prisons is named after one of my mentors from that group. She died a few years ago, and the actual prison is called the Florence McClure facility. And Florence McClure was my mentor in this.
Kind of like a full circle moment there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. In fact, she is the woman that is responsible for police departments having rape kits today. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a powerful group of women that were senior executives in some of these big hotels in Las Vegas. And they supported me and encouraged me. And so I did that. And then because people kept asking me to speak, I went out and started speaking. And And my speaking career has taken me to 29 countries around the world. And it's been absolutely amazing because I had that on my bucket list. I wanted to see the world. And in fact, I just finished my bucket list last year because the last thing on my bucket list was to take the hot air balloon safari over the Serengeti when the wildebeest were migrating.
Oh, beautiful.
And I did that last year. It was the last thing on my bucket list. So I said, now I either have to get a new bucket list or I have to kick the bucket.
Well, you got to get a new bucket list, obviously.
Yeah.
You have a lot to accomplish still. So fill me in. When you're giving these talks, what are your topics?
Well, I talk predominantly about you are more than enough, about believing in yourself. I speak to a lot of women's organizations on women's leadership, and I teach communication skills. So I've been teaching for several universities for a few years in communication. I teach people how to be more assertive. I teach them how to believe in themselves, how to value themselves, how to feel like they have self-worth. I have so many women come to me and say, I feel invisible. I just feel invisible. I've had my children and men don't look at me anymore and other women ignore me and I don't think I have anything intelligent to say and I feel invisible. And so I try to help them know that their perceived limitations are exactly that. They're perceived. We don't have limitations. We can do whatever we think we can do, but we have to believe we can do it. And we have to be willing to step out of our comfort zone. So those are the kind of things I teach. I teach people to set goals. I teach people to achieve the goals they set, because a lot of people set goals, but they don't know how to set them where they're achievable. And so I just love empowering people to be the best that they can be. And I speak in high schools, I speak in colleges, I speak in women's organizations, I speak to banks, I speak to conferences and conventions. And so, people will call me and they'll say, will you come in? I spoke to a group of senior banking executives, all male, in South Africa a couple of years ago. And I was a little bit intimidated by the audience because they were all a lot older than me and in powerful positions. And afterward, they came up and go, oh, this is so wonderful. We thank you so much. You made me cry. I was like, these are men. They're saying I made them cry. Good. Okay.
Oh my God, I love it. We used to live in South Africa. It's such a beautiful country.
Where did you
we
live?
lived out in Franschhoek.
Did you live
in the Western Cape?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I lived there for 8 years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How exciting. Oh, so we have a lot in common. I heard you mention something about assertiveness.
Yes.
And let's be honest, for most women, putting, for lack of a better word or a better descriptor, putting their foot down and saying, hey, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
That is hard.
Yes.
And that's a whole different level of discomfort than just saying I'm worthy. Not to minimize to saying I'm worthy. There's a great deal of power in it. But the assertiveness, it requires an action.
Yes, it does.
And to get into that must be an interesting conversation, irregardless of the client's age or the people you're speaking of. But I want to focus on, you say you talk to kids, like you go to schools and you have conversations like this. How are you helping young ladies understand the difference between aggressiveness and assertiveness?
Yes.
Because in my opinion, those two things are often, people think it's the same, but they couldn't be more different, in my opinion.
A lot of people think they're the same. And they could be in some cases.
There's going to be times where you need to be aggressive in order to be assertive, depending on what's happening. But for the most part,
right.
I
teach the girls that we have to remember that aggressive is somehow stepping on other people's rights. We're standing up for ourselves, but we're kind of abusing the other person at the same time. Like when we're yelling or we're screaming or we're being forceful. And so assertiveness is where you stand up for your own rights, but you don't violate the rights of anyone else. You allow space between you, physical space. You don't point at people. You don't, you don't start sentences with the word you. You don't start arguments with the word you. And I teach them a little technique. I call it the easy technique because it's easy. It's
Oh,
EASY. And what I mean by that is E is to explain what it is that's going on. A is about what. And um, S is to be specific. And Y is to get a yes. So
oh,
they can remember it because it's EASY.
yeah.
So it's easy. All right. So they can say and they start out by when they explaining it's they're expressing how they feel. So it's okay to express how you feel. It's okay to say I'm angry. It's okay to say I'm frustrated. It's okay to say I'm so mad I could just bite someone's head off. It's okay to say that, but it's how we say it. It's the tone of voice when we say it. And I've also
100%.
learned that there are better words. There are better words than I am angry or I am frustrated. Or so we want to use words that are like non emotional words, like I am concerned or I am surprised.
Okay.
I am concerned that you've been late every day this week. Say so. Explain and express about what. I am
Right.
concerned. Concerned means I care. So I am concerned about you being late every day this week. And now you want to be specific. What I need is for you to be in your desk by 8 o'clock every morning so that I don't have to bring somebody else out and put them to cover for you until you get here. Is there something that you could do to get yourself here earlier? Well, I don't know. Maybe I could catch an earlier bus. Oh, will you do that? And then you wait and you're waiting for the yes. And if they say,
Ah,
I'll try, that's not a yes. And if they go, that's not a yes. And you've got to say, will you do that? And they're like, well, I don't, I'll try. Well, let me ask you this. What is it going to take? Do you have to get up earlier? Yes. Will you do that? Well, I'll try. Okay, let's figure out if you're going to try, let's figure out how to make it happen. What can you do? Well, I guess I could set the alarm, blah, blah. Okay, are you going to do that? Yes. Okay. So they're not going to do it until you get that yes. You've got to get a yes. And so
100%.
yeah, so I teach the girls little techniques like that are easy, and I have them start practicing it every single day so that when they get into confrontation, they know how to handle it. So, because very often when somebody attacks us or they say something rude to us, we feel like we've just been slapped, and we go, and you know what? You can't think when you're holding your breath. You've got to stop and breathe and say, "Oh, this is going to be easy." Express. I'm concerned.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an assertiveness technique, and I've been teaching these things for years, and it's amazing how many people come back to me and say, this really worked. I had a lady say that she was dealing with her son. He wouldn't do his homework, and so she gave him the whole easy technique on how he needed to get upstairs and do his homework. And will you do that? She said he turned around and looked at her and he said, "Mom, have you been drinking?" And she wasn't yelling at him.
Oh my God. It was that easy, huh?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if I ask what got you into all of this, even into finishing school or like wanting to create a finishing school? Like, what was the initial, hey, Judi, I'm going to do this with my life?
Well, when I was a little girl, my mother sent me to finishing school, and I loved it. And then I got into modeling, and I was very fortunate to have a very good modeling career. And I won the United States Career Model title in a competition in New York City. And
Oh,
so,
congratulations.
thank you. It was many, many years ago. And so I just always loved it. I always loved being in it. I loved the fashion. I loved the skincare and the makeup and the wardrobe and everything about that industry. I just loved it. And so I was hired by the Montgomery Ward's department stores, which are now obsolete. We don't see them anymore. They used to be all across the country. And they hired me to be Wendy Ward. I was the lady in the commercials, and I was the face of our Montgomery Ward store here in Las Vegas. They put me in all their ads and everything. And then we had a Wendy Ward charm program, and I taught it to little kids between the ages of 4 to 7 and to teenagers from 8 to 12 and preteens, and then teenagers from 13 to 17, and then adult women over 17. We did a charm program basically, and it was just, here's how you walk and stand and sit. It was deportment, and it was skincare and makeup, and how do you do your nails, and how do you present yourself, how do you walk into a room and get attention. It was all of those little things. And I did that for Montgomery Wards, and we went from being number 500 in what do you call it, in attendance and money making. We were number 500 in the nation out of 500 stores. And in 1 year, we went to number 1.
Wow.
And so, it was because I was going out to the high schools and the junior high schools and the elementary schools and talking to kids about how you can take care of yourself and be better and get along and stand up for yourself. And I would go and speak free to every class all day. I would speak to 6 classes at a high school in a day, one after the other. And then I would pass out a card and say, if you would like to come to my school, you just fill out this card and tell me it's okay to call your parents and talk to them about it. And I would just get hundreds of these cards every time I went out to speak. And then I ended up having a staff of people that would call the parents and say, Miss Moreo, saw your daughter at the school, and they talked about her coming to school. Would you and your husband like to come in? We need both parents to talk about doing this because this is a family thing. And if the kid came in and they didn't have the quality, I don't mean quality, I mean characteristics. They didn't have what it needed to be a model. They were too short. At that time, you had to be at least 5'7", yeah. Or they didn't have good skin, or they had all these problems. We did not encourage them to be models. We didn't encourage them to take the modeling course. We talked about personal development, and we talked with the parents. Do you think you would like them to have this training and do it? And if you have both parents there, they can't say, I have to go home and ask the other parent, right?
Yeah.
So you got them both there, and the little girl's looking at daddy, and there's a science to this. You put the little girl between the parents. She's looking at daddy going, please, daddy, please, 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 and he isn't going to turn her down. And so they go through the finishing school program. And then you have we actually put together a teen board from all the high schools, where we had a girl from every high school that represented us and got involved in fashion shows and putting on things and learned how to work backstage and all that. And then at their high school, they recruited the other kids to come to the program. And out of the kids that went through personal development, then you picked the ones that were qualified to go into professional modeling. And we had a course for them that was a year long. And so they would come and go through that course. And then we would enter them in competitions in New York City and regional competitions, or if they were in beauty contests. And I ran the Miss Las Vegas pageant. I ran the Miss Clark County pageant. I ran the Miss Teenage Las Vegas pageant. And I got into that simply because another school had been running the pageants, and they'd been fixing the pageant to have their students win. And so the sponsors got very angry, and the sponsors came to me and said, if we give you the money to put on these pageants, will you do it? And I did. And we made sure they were legitimate, up and up. And it was a great way to find even more kids to go through the program, and we would give them, during the time they were in the pageant, we would give them like a free mini course to get them ready for the pageant. This is how you walk and how you turn, and this is how you should be wearing your makeup and so on. And they just fall in love with it. And the next thing you know, I got another kid in school. So we did really, really well with that. I did it for 21 years, and I sold it for cash.
Wow. Bravo.
Yeah. From $2,000 investment, right?
Right. And, that's brilliant. So,
yeah, it really worked. And how it worked, I don't know. It was just, I was determined, and I had good mentor and a wonderful landlord who didn't make me pay rent for 6 months. And
Well, he had a bet to collect, so let's be.
yeah,
That was probably one of the biggest like hidden gifts, so to speak.
yeah,
Right?
he did collect his bet, yeah. And but it was wonderful that he supported me through that time. You know, it was a very difficult time, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And then it got to the point to where it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And Las Vegas wasn't a convention city back then, and so the convention center asked me to go with them to New York City to meet with some convention people to see about them bringing their conventions to Las Vegas. So I did. I paid my own way to go with the convention center. We went back there, and the first one that I had a part in convincing was the Consumer Electronics Shows, which is one of the largest shows in the world. And they brought 55,000 people to Vegas the following year. And because of that, I got the contract for all the models for the show. And so that was wonderful. And then we got national home builders and national broadcasters, and it just went on. And I ended up with a convention service company with a little over 1,000 part-time employees and 17 full-time employees, supplying models, spokespeople, and greeters for conventions. And
oh my goodness, you're like a one woman revolution right there. You're like bringing in so many dynamic aspects to the whole city of Las Vegas, not just.
Yeah. And then we had people wanted to do movies in Las Vegas. So we worked together with Nevada Motion Pictures to furnish the movies that were being done here with all their extras, as well as many of their principal actors. And we did things like the Vegas series, which is still on TV to this day. And I look and I see some of the kids that work for me, and they were terrible actors. I don't know why we thought we were so good at that time. And, I ran into a lady the other night, and she was so excited to see me, and she hadn't seen me in all these years. And she said, "Do you remember I was the only one they killed in the Vegas series?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember when they killed you. Yes." And
Oh my God.
yeah,
And Judi, is all of this in your book also?
no, it's not. And people keep saying to me, I have stories in my book, parts of stories to illustrate the points of the book. But people keep saying to me, "You need to write a memoir. You need to write this
There
down."
it is.
I'm like, well, the only times I really think about it is when I'm out drinking wine with my friends, and then I start telling stories, So that
Well, you're on a podcast interview and you're just like filled with knowledge and connections and information. I mean, this would be such a dynamic book. Oh, and imagine as an Audible. Oh my
Ooh,
goodness.
yeah. Oh, you're
Come
giving me
on now.
yeah, I love it.
Come
I
on now. You
I
have
have
to.
to tell you,
So your
Judi,
current book is based on your program or what
yes,
your
it's based the current book, You Are More Than Enough. It's Every Woman's Guide to Purpose, Passion, and Power. It's based on what I taught people for all those years. It's like, to just give you kind of an idea here of the things. And every chapter is written as a standalone, and behind the chapter is a homework assignment, and everybody has to fill it in the book and go out and do their homework assignment. So it's things like this: realize who you are, explore your possibilities, choose your future, imagine you are there, talk yourself into it, make life work for you, say what you mean, and sound like you mean it.
Oh,
And
I like that.
establish your look and associate for success, because a lot of people don't associate for success. They don't understand how important it is, the people we associate with. And then there's overcoming life's obstacles. And then the last chapter is how to achieve power through faith. And so I always tell people it is a little spiritual. And if you don't believe in that, just skip that chapter. But it's there. I believe in it,
That's empowerment right there.
So, yeah.
I absolutely love that. I'm going to have to grab this book. So when we are speaking together in March for the Women Thrive Summit, what is your topic? Oh, wait, can you share your topic, or do you want to share just a little bit of a teaser?
What I speak about is you are more than enough. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about overcoming your perceived limitations.
That's going to be superb. For all of our listeners, be sure to join us.
I have
I cannot wait for this. There are so many dynamic speakers, and I'm just hearing your story. I can't even imagine how you're gonna have so much to share. Like, it's gonna be so awesome to hear you from your perspective, really stepping in and sharing, like, okay, how you can do this for yourself, right? From what I've heard today. I mean, it's
Yeah,
marvelous.
we have to believe in ourselves. It's so important. And so many people have been beat down throughout their lives, or they haven't had the support of a good family unit. Those of us who've had a great family unit are very, very fortunate. I had no idea that people didn't have a great family like mine until I went to one of these 4-day summits where the people go and they have an empty chair sitting across from them, and they give them a bat, and they tell them that, now you can tell your parent what you think of them, and in this empty chair. And I'm sitting there, and these people are beating the chair with these bats, with these rubber bats. And I'm like, and they're screaming, and I'm like sitting there going, what is this? Because I had no idea that people had those kind of feelings inside themselves about the people that raised them. And then life went on, and I learned that there's a lot of people out there that weren't as fortunate as some of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. But we always have a choice to rewrite the story. We can't change what's happened,
No,
but we can change what we get to do with it today. So I
exactly.
love that aspect of the empowerment, to really understand that we're always in charge in the present moment.
Right. I'm working on a new book now called Focus Forward. And
Oh,
it's all about staying focused on where we're going.
and when
And
is that coming out?
I'm hoping it comes out in the next year. I get going on 5 books at a time, and I can't decide which one's going to come out first,
Oh my
second.
God, you're
You know,
killing me. I
I'm really
love it.
I'm really bad about starting things and not finishing. I've got another one started. It's called Are You All In? Because Las Vegas is all about gambling. You go all in. But mine is Are You All In life? And I've got it almost finished. And then I've got this new cosmetic line that's coming out in January. So I have another book almost done on ageless image, how to put on your skincare and your makeup and all of that stuff. So
Oh wow, what's your makeup? What's the skincare line going to be called,
it's
or
going
what
to be
is it
called
called?
Ageless Image. And I'm
Okay.
focusing on older women because I keep meeting women. I have a television show called What's Your Story? And I have women on my show, and they talk about, being older and what life is like. And they don't want a cosmetic company that tells them you can wear this and you'll look younger. They don't want to look younger. They want to look better. So we're fake. It's called Ageless Image, the skincare line, and it's for older women on how to look better. And how to make yourself feel better about who you are. It's about taking care of yourself. And it's so funny how it came about, because one of the guys I own the TV station along with 3 other people, and we were having a owners meeting, and one of the guys looked over at me and he goes, "How old are you?" And I said, "Well, aren't you rude?" And he goes, "Well, I think you're older than I think you are." And I said, "So you think I'm really old?" And he said, "Yeah, I think you're really a lot older than I think you are." And I said, "Well, I don't know what's going on." And he said, "Well, when we talked about when we had the most fun in life and when we made the most money, you always talked about the cosmetic company you used to have." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, why don't we do it again?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, you don't look your age, and you could go on and talk about, the cosmetics and why you did what you did." And this line of cosmetics I actually came out with almost 40 years ago. I was the first woman in America to do an infomercial. Can you believe that?
What?
And yeah, yeah.
Hello. When is your memoir coming out? Come on now.
And so we sold $8 million worth of makeup the first
What?
year of skincare products that year. And I said, that was so fun. I loved it. So they're saying, "Well, Judy, why don't we do this? Why don't we do another skincare program and do it for mature women?" Right? These 3 guys, they're telling me this. And they said, "And then you can give us some stuff and we can try it." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I'll go think about it." Right. So I came home and I started thinking about it, and I thought, go out there in the file and pull out those old files on that cosmetic company. So I pulled out the files, and I found the company that actually created the products for me. And I thought, I'm going to see if any of those people are still around, And sure enough, I found a lady that was back then is still in the manufacturing of cosmetics in New York. And I called her and she was thrilled to hear from me. And we said, well, let's talk about this. And so we've been putting together a new skincare line with up-to-date things like hyaluronic acid and retinol and, so on. So it's just fun, I love putting things together.
I love you. You are such a sunshine, a ray of sunshine. Like, everyone has to come follow you. Where are we going to find you? On social media, your website? Fill me in. Where is your favorite place to hang out?
My name is Judi, Judi Moreo, Moreo, like Oreo cookies with an M in front, right? So it's Judi Moreo. And you can find me, you can email me, Judi@judimoreo.com. You can find my website, judimoreo.com. You can find me all over Facebook. And I mean, you just put my name into the internet, you'll find me. And
okay, we'll definitely add your name to the show notes, all your links, because people, you have to follow her. Guys, this amount of information, experience, and just joy that's coming out of you, Judi, is so, I don't know, I feel so joyful now listening to you. And this has been amazing.
Thank you.
And if they want to purchase your books on your website?
They can get it on Amazon or they can get it on my website, either one. I'm happy for them to do on Amazon because then Amazon will mail it. And if they do it on my website, I have to mail it. So, but if they do it on my website, I will sign it for them, So
well, I would definitely get it off the website.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of extra work for you, but.
And it just came out in, let me see if I got a copy of it around here. It just came out in Spanish. I'm so excited because, where did it go? Huh. I had it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Sometimes I'm a little discombobulated. Here it is. See, it just came out in Spanish. And I'm so excited about this because I have so many Hispanic ladies tell me that they don't have a lot of positive mental attitude books or empowerment books for them. And so I had this totally translated into Spanish, and I'm so excited about it.
Oh, I love it. We'll definitely have all of this in the show notes. And Judi, one last question. One of my big focuses for the last few months has been joy. Outside of your skincare company, what else brings you joy?
Oh, goodness. I'm such a fortunate person. I've had such an incredible life. Like I said, I've traveled to 29 countries around the world. I have 2 little kitties that bring me much joy, except one of them just passed away 3 days ago. He had to be put down. He was 23 years old and he couldn't stand up anymore, and it broke my heart. He brought me joy, but my friends bring me joy. My work brings me joy. I mean, so many things bring me joy. Joy is an exciting part of life, isn't it?
It is, if you're open to it.
Yeah,
it's a decision.
And I love to paint. When I got cancer, the doctor told me I was going to die, and he sent me to. I found a doctor that I liked, not the one that told me I was going to die, but someone else. And he sent me to art school. He said, "I want you to go and learn to paint." And I said, "Why would I do that? I don't have any ability to paint." And he said, "Well, you need to sit down and be quiet for 3 hours at a time. And so go take art classes." And so I went and took art classes, and that brings me a lot of joy. And that was 15 years ago. And now I teach art part-time at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. And that brings me a lot of joy to see my students painting amazing pictures.
When do you sleep?
Everybody says that.
I absolutely love this. And I am requesting all of our listeners to follow you. You are very dynamic is just the word that keeps wanting to come out of my mouth. Everything that you've done, especially at a time when women were not even, we only started to be able to get our own bank account, I think in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So, holy crap.
I have to share with you, when I went to live in South Africa, I went over there to be the group promotions manager for 23 newspapers, 2 radio stations, and the only privately owned TV station there. And I was the first female in this media group, the first female executive at that level. And I went into a board meeting one day, and it was all men and me. And I walked in and I said, "Where's the ladies' room?" And one of the men turned to me and he said, "There is no ladies' room on this floor. We didn't ever expect any of you would get this far."
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I had to go down.
Only you who you were, right?
And I had to go down to the next floor to go to the restroom. So, I mean, that tells you what it was like back then. We didn't expect any of you would get this far. So we didn't even give you a restroom,
Wow. My hat's off to you for everything that you did, not just for Las Vegas, but for you as a female. Like, you are the epitome of empowerment.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bravo.
much. And guess what? This month, November, next month, my picture's on the cover of Empowering Humanity magazine. And they did a big write-up on me, and it's going in every library in the United States. And I am so honored. So
You'll have to let me know when that comes out.
I will.
Please
I'm
do.
So honored.
This is so huge. Judi, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that inspiration. And for those of you listening, listen, anything is possible. Be all in on you.
It is.
And have your own back. Judi, thank you so much for coming on. Our listeners, again, until next time, I'm Chaitali Desai, and this is Soul Mastery. We're wishing you all a beautiful day. And remember, it's time to go all in on you.